Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today, I'm joined once again by Lisa Harrison, who played Toni Hazelton on the series, towards the end of the series, and then in several of our reunion movies. She's also a singer and a songwriter and a vocal coach in LA. So please welcome back, Lisa.
You know what I loved? I don't know if you've talked about it before, the Christmas tree on the set. Have you ever talked about that? Do you remember? When we would get makeup done, Reynolds had a powder puff and he'd write our names on it so that he wasn't using anybody else's powder puff on you but your own personal powder puff. And at Christmas time, there was a tree on stage 26. Oh, we got to tell you about that. And he would hang all our powder puffs with our names on it. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh my God. Oh, I loved that so much. Yeah, that happened. And I always looked forward to the reel. What was it called?
The gag reel? The blue
gag reel. When I made the gag reel, I was thrilled.
You knew you made it.
I made it. I made the gag reel. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that was really fun. But it was a lovely, lovely time. In fact, I would bring needlepoint on the set. Needle pointing was great. If you brought a book, you couldn't communicate with anybody. But if you brought needlepoint, you could be needle pointing and talking during breaks and stuff like that with everybody. And I made Christmas stockings. And I completed 4 stockings and I use them to this day.
Wow.
The needlepoint stockings that I made on the set.
Huh. I imagine that's why the moms and guardians, like, they would knit and crochet and stuff because they could still be paying attention to what was going on. And lots of things got made with a lot of downtime.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Yes.
Is from Bobby Corey, who said, was music one of the common interests that brought you and Jon together?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. I think we were talking about Crosby, Stills and Young, and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and trying to figure out some different harmonies. And when Jon and I met, he couldn't harmonize. If I started harmonize, he'd go on my part. He would go to what he'd hear. And so, do you remember batakas? Do you know what they were? Imagine a sword, but instead of a sword, it's all foam. And people would be having sword fights with batakas, or couples would beat on it because you couldn't hurt anything. Well, so we had this pair of batakas. And Jon had one in each hand because he'd get so frustrated with himself. And I would give him a voice lesson and teach his ears how to hear himself and be able to hear the other person singing and not go to it. And by the end, he could harmonize, but those batakas, those indestructible batakas, were broken. Wow. He smashed them on the wall and broken them.
How did you two meet? I don't remember.
Oh, we met actually through Sherry Hersey, who had guest starred on the show and actually had dated him and introduced him to another friend of ours, the real Antoinette, Tony LaBelle. And he dated Tony, and tells the story in the song. And he was sick. It was during hiatus, and he had gotten mono and a high fever or something. And he was just at his parents' house getting better. And so she said, hey, I'm going to go visit Jon, see how he's doing. You want to come? And I said, sure. So he put his hand out to shake my hand, and skin was hanging off his hand from the fever. His skin peeled. And that is how I met him. And we just became really, really good friends. And we'd hang out and we'd talk about music. And Yeah. And that's our meeting, was through our friend, Sherry.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Last question I had, which is also music related, is from Wonder Rob, who wanted to ask you about Kidnapped, the musical, and where can he see it?
Come over to my house. It hasn't been mounted yet. I wrote a musical called Kidnapped. It's loosely based on Robert Louis Stevenson's Kidnapped. It has over 30 songs in it, and I wrote the screenplay for it. And I will also have to write the theater script for it. Yeah. But right now it's in screenplay form. And now that there is AI, I'm hoping I can learn how to demo my songs, because I don't know how to fundraise to get money to do that. And I've talked to somebody who's done it, and he said, well, you need about $300,000 to start mounting things like that. And I've talked to the Pasadena Playhouse. They're interested in it as a black box, and it's big like Wicked or like Lion King, because you're going to have ships and shipwrecks and things like that. And yes, you can do projection and things like that, but I think it's a fairly expensive musical to mount or to film. And I'd like to demo the songs other than me singing them all. And it is a Scottish musical, and it's a mashup of Celtic and rock and roll. So you'll have bagpipes and crunch guitar. And yeah, so it will be very, very, very different. So I wish I had something to show you, but right now I've got the script and I've got the music. And I hope to get that together soon so that everybody can enjoy it, because I love that project. I just love it.
Great. Okay. Well, that was what I had from the fans. So
great. Good questions.
Yeah. I wanted to cover some of the things I typically do with guests. One is sort of, you've already talked about, you were familiar with the Waltons and stuff like that. Yes. So how was it that you came to be cast as Toni? What had the process for that?
Well, I was an actor. I got a voice scholarship to UCLA, and then I left to start working. I did theater. I did musicals. And I'd actually auditioned for the Waltons 2 times prior. And one was for the part Linda Pearl played.
The second part she played as Vanessa Kurt's sister? Okay.
Yeah. So I think Ralph was directing that one. And anyway, I didn't get cast. This was the 3rd time I had auditioned. And it just was another audition. The director had never met me, didn't know who I was, and he's the one that cast me. And Claire was very sweet, and she called me and said, I want you to know he had no idea who you were or that you had any connection with the cast at all. And he made the decision. Nobody told him. And you're going to get people saying, oh, well, you got cast because you were with Jon. No, she said, that wasn't the case. And I said, I've never done anything on film before. Why did you cast me? And he said, I have enough confidence in myself. I knew I'd get a good performance out of you. You showed it to me in the audition. So God bless him. That was lovely.
So you did 7 episodes. I just recently talked about your first episode, The Remembrance, that what first introduced you, and the song Antoinette. So I know, did you work on that song with Jon at all, like in terms of writing it, or just?
He wrote that about Toni LaBelle.
Okay.
Who he dated between Sherry and me.
Okay. But obviously
he'd already written the song.
Okay, so he just pulled that out, and
Yeah.
it happened to be your character was already going to be named Toni, so it just kind of worked out that.
I think Rod and Claire had heard it before. So they wrote
that.
They wrote the episode. And I think that the character of Toni, if I'm correct, was only supposed to be a one-off.
Oh.
It was just going to be one guest star, one episode. And they liked the chemistry between us. And so they brought her back.
Yeah, because that was your only episode in season 8. And then you returned for the first 2-part episode for season 9, The Outrage. It's been a while since I watched that episode, so I don't recall what your character was doing there. I know that typically your episodes took place when Jason was off, and you'd run into him at different bases here and there.
Yeah, because we were in the military,
right?
And then we did The Pursuit,
right?
And I think we were in Paris trying to find Eric.
Oh, okay.
It was a POW.
Yeah, because the next one then was The Last 10 Days, where he was in the POW camp and escaped, and was helped by one of the Japanese soldiers who wanted to surrender.
Right. Yeah. So I think it was Jason, John Boy, and Toni trying to find Ben. So I think that's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the war was over, and then the Gold Watch was the one where you sang at the Dewdrop.
Oh yeah, and John punches out the singer who comes on to me, and we got to do I've got spurs that jingle, jingle, jingle. So such a fun song to do. Yeah, that was a great episode. That was really, really fun.
Yeah, and then your last one of the regular episodes was the next episode, the beginning. I haven't gotten to season 9 yet. I've been working my way through the episodes and covering.
So the beginning was the Jewish one?
Okay. Yeah, because somebody else asked me about that, wondered if was that the one where the family was concerned, which
I think what it was is we're sitting at the table and they're going, "Ooh, Toni, cute new minister came to town. Oh, you should see him. He's really cute." And Jason says, "Why would she be interested in him? She's Jewish." And Larry Dobkin directed that episode.
Sweet Larry.
And oh God, loved him, loved his family. Wonderful family. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was really great. And then she gets to question her faith and what that means. So that was a wonderful episode. And Kip was great. So Kip Niven. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can share or not, but someone had asked if you were Jewish, and I said, frankly, I don't know. I never, I don't remember.
Well, see, and that's where Toni and I, where I could really use Lisa and Toni, because yes, I'm Jewish, but I wasn't raised Jewish, and I wasn't raised Christian, and I wasn't raised American Indian or Buddhist or anything else. If my mom could make a cookie for it, we celebrated it. So we celebrated everything, but it didn't necessarily have any kind of religious aspect to it. Easter was about an Easter egg hunt and baskets and of goodies and chocolate bunnies and stuff. We always had Christmas every single year. And then we could light the candles on the menorah. We didn't get gifts or anything, but we could light candles. And that was what kid doesn't like to do that? And Halloween and everything else. So we just were a very celebratory family. So my entire, I think you'll feel for me on this one. My entire religious upbringing, I learned about Judaism from doing Fiddler on the Roof and Christianity from doing Godspell. And that's my teaching.
Oh.
And what resonates the most to me is American Indian beliefs. And I've studied with a medicine woman and a Potawatomi medicine man in Peabody, Kansas. And that love of the earth and that pride, and if you have more, what a joy it is to give and to share. It's not about accumulating more. It's not what Western Americans do. I want a house, and then I want a bigger house, and then I want the bigger car and this. It was, if I have more, I get to share it. And that's the joy, because where true happiness is that we all are happy and we all have enough. There's food for everybody. There's medicine for everybody. Then there's true joy. I think Martin Luther King said that, as if for all of us must be free. If one of us is not, then we are not free. So it's that same thing. That's what resonates with me. So, it's all a learning. So when Toni questioned her faith, I go, oh, I can relate to that. I can relate to that because I didn't really know anything about it, except to imitate Fran Drescher and The Nanny. My daughter Brighton and I would watch it, and to see Brighton as a little tiny kid imitating Fran Drescher and learning all the Yiddish words. Oh my God, that was so funny. That was great. That was great. I loved that.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
You went on then, and you were part of 3 of the reunion movies. The later ones, you were there for the Thanksgiving reunion and the Walton wedding and the Walton Easter. And I think it was the wedding, the Walton wedding was the one where you went into labor in the middle of.
Yes. And you delivered the baby. One by one, they start leaving the church. And I forget, those, what I did. I remember one of them was about the assassination.
Yeah, that was
Thanksgiving.
The Thanksgiving one, when we weren't sure if John Boyd was going to make it back because he then suddenly had to try and write the story. But I think he had brought, or Kate came, but then he wasn't sure if he was going to make it or he had to go back. Yeah, I confused them.
Understandably so. But I tell you, there was one, and I'm not sure which one of the movies it was, and we're planning a shower for Kate. I don't remember if it was a baby shower or a wedding shower. I can't remember. And I think Brighton was in it, and she played Patsy Cline Walton.
Right.
And I'm helping plan the shower. And then the shower happens, and Toni's not there.
Yeah. I think that was I think it was a baby shower, because that was the one that Brighton was in.
Okay. Then that was that. And they had booked me for a week, and the shower was filmed the next week. And I said, what happened? Is Toni locked in the bathroom? What? She planned this. She should be there. And
and I don't think I was at the scene when they planned the shower for some reason.
But you were at the shower.
That I don't remember either, because I don't remember the shower. So it's like, it's very random about who was in what scenes in some of those.
Well, that was really fun having Brighton, because the director said to me, you have to promise me that she will do exactly what I ask her to do. And I said, any mother that promises you a 2.5-year-old or 3 or whatever she was, is going to do exactly what you want when you want it, is lying to you. And it was really funny because Richard had to pick her up, and Brighton was very shy. And she didn't know Richard very well. I mean, she'd met him, but she didn't know him very well. And so it was his triplets who befriended Brighton and was playing with her and saying, it's okay. He's our dad. He's all right. It's okay. You can let him pick you up. So she went, okay. So they convinced, and then he would pick her up, and they had to do it over and over and over again. Then the film broke and they had to reload.
Oh, no.
And they kept doing it. And she was wearing some kind of little jumper. And every time he'd pick her up and put her back down, she got a wedgie.
Oh, no.
And so she'd go like that and pull the thing. And the cameraman said, she's the most consistent actress, you know, in the whole scene, because that wedgie had to come out. And when they finished, she said, I want to do it again. So she loved it. She had a blast.
Cute.
That was really fun.
It's cute. Yeah, because I don't think anybody else had their kids in the show at any point. I mean, Devin was with me on set because he was like 10 or 12 weeks old when we were filming that. I mean, he was just barely born.
The Thanksgiving when Brighton had just been born.
Yeah.
And I was breastfeeding, and I mean, like 3 weeks prior. Mm. And so we were doing that, and the CBS photographer was on set, and Michael was holding Brighton, and she had a Gap hat on. Brighton, for some reason, loved hats, and she would keep them on, and it had a flower right in front. And the CBS photographer took a picture of Michael and Brighton, and Brighton wasn't in it. She was, a newborn, basically. And that's the picture that was in TV Guide.
Wow.
And I thought, isn't this a period piece? That's brand new Gap clothes. So that was funny. That was funny.
Well, they probably thought it was the sweetest and most representative of the family.
Something, yeah, exactly.
I have a series of 3 shots that hangs on my wall in my office from during that shoot. I have a shot of Mary holding Devin, Richard holding Devin, and Michael holding him. So those are 3 stacked up photos that are on my wall because he was on set with me for the same reason, because he was so little. Yeah. But I was so grateful because then when I was delivering those, what was supposed to be John Boy and Kate's and Janet's twins, I was like, oh, I understand this size baby. This is fine. I got this,
Yeah,
so I was like, oh, good. I can be really comfortable with this.
Just delivered everybody's babies.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. Piece of cake.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you to Lisa once again for joining me for this next part of our conversation. I'll be back with more behind the scenes of the Waltons, more Ask Judy, and finishing up my conversation with Lisa. Thanks for watching.